What's up, guys? I am Ash, aka D16 EK, and today we're gonna talk about what got me to this position right here. So, I've always been a Honda guy. I've owned multiple Hondas. My first was a EG hatch, just stock automatic. It was actually my mom's first car, and then when I became 15, like 14, 15, that I started to learn how to drive in it, and slowly became my car. It was rotted. We live in the great state of Minnesota, and we use plenty of salt on the roads. So, yeah, that thing was clapped, but I still had fun with it. Went through a few motors. The first motor, I ran it out of oil right after school. And I actually got in a pretty severe accident with that car. Almost ending me. So definitely blessed to be here. And that car was that was what really got me into cars. My dad has always been into cars. He had two Preludes when I was younger. Right now he has you can't see it, but he has a Beamer wagon right there, and then he has a F10 down there, BMW. But it's Civics are like my thing. Hondas are my thing. And I've always liked toge style racing, circuit racing, that kind of thing. My family's from the Caribbean, so we have a lot of windy, twisty roads down there kind of thing. So to be able to have a car that could perform on those very tight roads was like always my goal. And there's a road here in Minnesota called Highway 3 that I always used to go on when I was young. So just thinking about that and then thinking about where I'm from, it just made sense to make a car that could handle really good, not necessarily have a lot of power. And I'll kind of get into that later on, why I decided to build this, how I built it. So the reason why I wanted this car, or basically how I ended up with this car, I had a white hatch as my first car, and then my second Civic. I had multiple cars in between then, but my second Civic was a sedan, and it was actually a EK sedan, and that's what kind of got me into EKs. I did my first engine swap on the EK, and first turbo kit install, all that kind of stuff. That was all on the EK platform, not on my cars, but like on that platform. So I got to know that platform very well. That sedan that I had was like the first car I actually tried to put some money into. So I had a stock compression Z6 from the Del Sol SI, locked VTEC, and then I had that thing gutted. The only thing that wasn't gutted was the doors, because I couldn't find manual like wind up doors. And then I was working at Pizza Hut at the time, so like having a car that wasn't really functional wasn't a thing. It didn't really make any sense to get Lexan windows, and I was broke. So, but yeah, that car, I really pushed it, and I went through 5 motors in a matter of a year, 5 D series in a matter of a year with that car. So ended up getting rid of that, got a new job, and life kind of was up and down when I got the new job, and I wasn't really focused on cars anymore. But then I kind of started building the motor for this car, and I had an idea. I was going to build a high compression single overhead cam D16 and try to do it all out, like try to make it the most powerful one in Minnesota. So that was my goal with that. And Yeah, so I started building it. What year was that? Summer of 2020. I started building the motor, and I had some minor issues with it. So I ordered the rods, ordered the pistons, all of the fancy stuff. Then I went to go and install everything, and the first major issue that I had was that the bore in the block was out of spec, so I had to go and get that machined out. That was the first time I ever went to a machine shop. Had to go and get that machined out, so I went point 0.5 over, got the matching pistons. Those pistons didn't work, so I got another set of pistons. Those pistons didn't work, and then I finally got a set of pistons that actually worked, and I realized that the rods that I had didn't work because they were for a Vitera low compression short piston turbo D series, which that was not mine. Mine was just stock piston length, stock piston length. Supposed to be stock rod length. So it ended up costing me a lot of money just right off the bat. That was 2 sets of rods, 3 sets of pistons, and then getting the block machined. So that happened probably over, I would say, like a year or two. I was just slowly kind of building it in my free time. Then let's go to about late 2021. Me and my family, we went on a vacation down to the islands, and I really got inspired, started buying a whole bunch of parts. That's why I bought that crazy manifold, or when I bought it. I didn't buy it down there, but that's when I bought it. And it really showed me the motivation that they have down there, and it inspired me. Like, I really need to get my car up and running, or get my engine up and running. By this time, I don't even think I had the car yet. I think it was just the engine I was still building. And I was looking for a 99 or a 2000, so that would be facelift EK coupe in black. So I ended up looking on Facebook Marketplace for about, I would say, 6 months. So this is now going into 2022. So between like late 21 and going into 2022, I started looking for this shell. And I found a few that were okay. It was either that they were like pristine and like ridiculously priced, or they were just super clapped out. I know one of them, the guy was like, "Oh, it doesn't have an engine, but the car has no rust and all this and all that." So I go check it out, and it was just like, it was the worst condition, one of the worst condition cars I have ever seen in my life. Every single panel was dented. The car was spray painted black. The interior was, I think the interior was spray painted blue, and then half the interior is missing. Bunch of stuff is cut out of the interior, like all the doors and everything is cut out. And I was like, you know what? I mean, if I'm building a car to race, that's not really that big of a deal, but I wanted something a little bit better. But the price was, it was like, I think the guy wanted maybe $200 or $300 or something like that. So I was all for it. Not all for it. I was partially for it. It was really cheap. And then we get to underneath the hood. He said there was no engine in it, but he didn't mention that none of the VIN numbers were in the car either. Every single place where the VIN was cut out. And I first noticed that under the hood. You pop the hood and I see a square cut out of the firewall. I'm like, why'd you cut that out? And he was like, oh, well, the car was stolen and this and that. And then I put 2 and 2 together. Like, the car was spray painted multiple different colors, so yeah, I had to skip out on that. And I put a $50 deposit on that. And the guy was like, oh, well, I can't give you your $50 back. I already spent it. Whatever, bro. Yeah, so I was a little sad from that. And then I actually stumbled upon this car. So I was riding through my neighborhood, and I literally seen this in someone's driveway. I'm like, man, that thing is clean. Pulled back around. And this is like, I mean, we're talking like 5 minutes walking distance from my house. And I've never seen the car before. Pull back around and talk to the lady. She's like, oh, it's my son's, but I'll give you his number. And so we're going back and forth for like maybe a week or so. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get this message from his mom. You need to stop distracting my son. Stop trying to swindle him and lowball him and all this and all that. I'm like, I'm definitely not trying to swindle him. I could talk to you, but you gave me his number. So on and so forth. We made a deal, locked it in. Family's super cool. Son's cool. Mom's cool. Dad is super cool. Dad's in the cars as well. But it wasn't exactly the car that I wanted. I wanted a 99 2000. This is a 98. But it basically checked off everything else. It was black. So this is black flamenco pearl. That was only released in the Civic EX, I think the coupes, and then the GSR coupe in 98. So this is a 98 specific color. And just so happened to be the year of my birth. So kind of everything kind of worked out, you know. I still do like the 99 front end a little bit more, but I like the 98 cutout down here. So, but yeah, this is what I got. And I'm definitely grateful for getting it. The car has like very little rust. The subframe, like where the AC tube comes out, obviously that's rotted out. That's on almost every Civic. And then the, I don't know what you call it, on top, kind of like underneath where the fenders are and stuff, there's a few rot holes. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the car is solid. Straight chassis. Full interior. I mean, it was completely 100% stock. And it was automatic too. Things that I've done to the car. So 2022, that summer I pretty much drove it around stock. I did a few things. So since it's an EX, it has power steering, it has AC, it has a sunroof, power mirrors, and it has an alarm system, believe it or not, and it does work. But I couldn't get it to work because I didn't realize at the time that the previous owner, or maybe 2-3 owners before that, had put in a CRV radio, and it just fits so flush in there I didn't even know. So ended up finding the radio behind the dash, which was super weird. Hooked up to a jumper harness. I don't know why, but yeah, ended up finding that, putting it in this car, and yeah, has an alarm system. I think the second thing that I did was the horn was really ugly. So this is, keep in mind, this is all stock ride height, you know, stock everything. The second thing I did was the horn. I put in an Audi horn. Just sounds like a normal car horn. And yeah, from there, it kind of just started spiraling downhill. I was still building the motor at the time. Actually, I think I was getting really close to it being done. And it was it had a yellow valve cover, a yellow and blue valve cover that one of my friends painted. I didn't want that. I wanted all yellow. But he was like, bro, I ran out of yellow halfway through. I'm like, bro, you're a painter. You're supposed to know how much paint you have. But whatever. So I rocked that. I started doing the rear brakes. So the rear brakes are from a GSR. So it has rear disc brakes instead of the rear drums. Let me see what else. Oh, I did suspension at the time too. So it has 5/8 industry coilovers. It has True Heart front camber arms, the top A arms, and then it has all energy bushings in the back, and then it has like just some eBay adjustable toe and adjustable camber arms in the back, as well as a full rear subframe stiffener, like brace, and then sway bars and all of that too. So the car is pretty hooked up. It's riding on some Bridgestone RE71 RS tires. Those are the ones that just came out. And some EP3 Civic Si rims right now. That's just temporary. As far as the front suspension goes, sway bars, I'm actually working on building a subframe right now, because this one is rotted out, like I said earlier. But I'm thinking about doing either Skunk 2 or Megan lower arms, and then I'll be doing a Blocks Racing 28 mil front sway bar with energy bushings and energy end links as well. Now, as far as the motor goes, it is manual swap too. I forgot to say that. So that has a Del Sol SI manual transmission. As far as the motor goes now, it's a D16 Y8 block, D16 Y8 head, but it doesn't have VTEC. So that's the VTEC engine without VTEC. I've locked VTEC. The solenoid is basically there to hold oil from squeezing out. There's no block off place for the D series. There's hardly anything for the D series. Has a big cam in it, flat face valves, Ferrera valves, intake manifold, 70 mil throttle body. Has 4-to-1 exhaust manifold. It's not really a ram horn, but it's like it's equal length, and it flows really good. It is very loud and very raspy, but I should be getting that fixed later on, once I actually get the car running properly. As far as the block internally, I think I have I think they're Max Peating rods, which are fine. It's an NA car. They're billet rods, and then I have P29 pistons, which is like Honda's high compression piston. They actually used in what car did that come out of? That came out of a Japanese, they call it the D16 ZC. So it's a D16, but it's a dual overhead cam D16. It was basically like the early iteration of a B16, but it was a D series. So longer stroke, smaller piston, as opposed to the B series, the B16, which is almost square, or pretty close to square. Let me see here. Yeah, compression ratio, it's on E85. I'm using MDX injectors. They're 440s. Walboro 250 pump, I believe. Let's see here. It's all studded up, all that. Lightweight flywheel, stage 2 eBay clutch. Titanium cam gear. So basically everything in the drivetrain, springs, keepers, everything is as light as possible. If it's not titanium or chromoly, it's hardened steel or billet. So like everything is as light, as strong as possible. Compression ratio is about 13-to-1. So crunching the numbers, the car should make anywhere between I would say like 170, 175 to like probably close to 200 naturally aspirated stock bore. And like I was saying, I don't think anyone has done this in this state. So I'm trying to be that guy to say, the D series is not that bad. Yeah, I've put a lot of money into it. I've blown So far, this is the second block that I've put in here, second transmission. This is like the third head, the second cam. I've destroyed a lot of things, but it's all experimental because there's no information on the D series. You know, you could go out and find information on the K series, the B series, the H series, even the F series, you know, J series, whatever. But there's nothing on the D series in a naturally aspirated platform. And I'm kind of recording my journey and taking you guys along for the ride, so you could kind of see where I'm making my mistakes, how I'm doing things, and once I'm done, you can see the formula. I'm not a gatekeeper, so the formula will be out there. As far as engine management, it's on AEM Series 2. And yeah, cosmetic stuff. Front toe strap, lip, custom headlights, custom tail lights. They just wrapped a fancy little thing, whatever. You'll knock a 2.5 inch catback. And how I won the giveaway F80. That is the seat on the inside. So it's an Energy Prisma Ultra. Sorry, I almost forgot. So what that means, it has the Ultra written on the front part on the Alcantara, and then the back side is gold flake. The normal Prisma is silver flake, and I just wanted to be a little different, so I got the Ultra. I got the gold one. Also bought a NRG wheel to match. They call it like the reinforced. I think it's a 280, so it's a reinforced 280 millimeter wheel. And I have a checkered Motorsports horn delete. The interior is pretty simple on this car. It's full interior, besides the seat, shifter, and steering wheel. Has a CRV gauge cluster. What else does it have? Has a little vent delete. It has a bunch of little small details, but I kind of think that's one of the things that makes my car different. Is everything, majority of everything on this car is black or hidden, and when people notice what's done to the car, that kind of is what makes the car cool, because you got to really look. It's not just a black Civic. It has the fender cutouts. It has the traction bar in the front. It has this and that and whatever. It has everything. It has the whole 9 yards. You just got to look for it. It's a simple looking build, but there's a lot to it. So my goal with the car is to finally get it up and running. I've been having a lot of problems with valve clearancing, and because there's not very much information on it, so I can't say, oh, you could get these valves, these high compression valves, and they'll work with these high compression pistons and this thick of gasket, and then once you go through a heat cycle, the piston will expand. And I can't give that definitive answer yet, but I'm getting close. So right now I've had to do a lot of machine work to the head to be able to use the high compression valves along with the high compression pistons. So usually people use stock valves, high compression pistons, or they'll use the high compression valves on a boosted application with low compression pistons. So getting the two to work together is an issue. But like I said, I'm getting closer. The hard thing with the measurements and stuff, I'm learning a lot when it comes to this. But the hard thing is when you clay it, because the compression is so high, you get a very tight tolerance. Now, that's cold measurements. When the engine warms up, everything expands just a little bit, and it expands just enough to make contact. So that's kind of the problem I've been having for the last, year or two now. So I'm working on that. Hopefully everything should be getting cleared up by the end of this year, leading into next year. But yeah, it's been a lot of research, a lot of measuring, a lot of guess and check with this. Not only me, the tuner, the machine shop, doing what little research is available. And yeah, the goal when the car is finally up and running is to take it to a few roads here in Minnesota, test out the car, see what it can actually do, and then enter it into some kind of track event, either up at DCTC or up in Brainerd. I know the car could perform suspension wise. It's basically all reliant on the engine. Once I'm able to test everything out with the engine, lay down some solid times, get everything to kind of how I want it, then I should be able to build a transmission. I also want to build a very short ratio transmission, 4/9 final, close gear ratios, and it's either going to be Gear X or M factory. And I'll also probably put in a helical diff. So instead of an LSD, I'll put in a helical one. So yeah, this has been Ash, aka D16 EK, aka EK, whatever you want to call me. And this is my car. Welcome to the channel. It will be a whole bunch of different content on this channel, and hopefully we could go forward from here and make this into something big. This is my first time doing it's my second time doing YouTube. First time doing it solo. So if you guys can leave a comment, let me know things that I could improve on, things that you would like to see on the channel, things that you would like done different, or that you see I'm doing wrong, or like tips and tricks. And also let me know what you think about the D16. I want to hear it, because I'm going to fry everyone in the comments. Best believe. Yeah. Over and out.